So a pig, a duck, and a human all walk into a post-apocalyptic outworld. Oh, you were expecting a joke? No, that's just the description to this game. Yo, what is up, and welcome aboard the hype train. I am your host, Michae Vega, and this week's game is a little something called Mutant Year Zero, Road to Eden. That sounds like a mouthful. Maybe we can come up with some sort of acronym, like, Mutant Year Zero, RtE. that don't sound right. Mutant Year Zero, RtE. But indeed, if you remember at E3, you may have seen a game with a giant humanoid pig. But hold on. You might be thinking to yourself, oh, I think I remember that game. Well, did the pig you're thinking of look like this one? Because no, that's Beyond Good and Evil 2. That gets its own hype train. What I'm talking about is this humanoid pig right here. I'm just saying there might be a little too many humanoid pigs out there. Somebody should do something. But Mutant Year Zero is a tactical strategy action adventure game that's coming up here in December. It's a very stylistic game that features mutant people things and a nice turn-based combat system, much like in the XCOM games. Now, this game is developed by a bunch of bearded ladies. No, I'm not lying. The actual company that developed this game is called Bearded Ladies Consulting. I don't know about you, but I don't want to get no consultation from no bearded lady. But anywho, this is a very interesting looking game. I never really played the XCOM series, but I did play that recent weird game with Mario and the Rabbids. That was... whatever. But this type of combat looks very similar to that, but of course a lot more dark and gritty. But I'll tell you what, when I look at this game, I feel a bunch of intrigue inside of me. As you can obviously see, this is some sort of post-apocalyptic world that has sort of turned everyone into mutants, or if mutants just developed from the ground or something like that. But there does seem to be a lot of mystery and dirty secrets surrounding the contents of what's inside this game, and I really want to see what that's about. So let's get into this week's hype train. Now, as always, we start off with the story. Now, like I said before, this is some sort of post-apocalyptic world that has driven all regular humans out of existence, or at least out of sight, except for one man known as the Elder, who holds up inside this community of mutant humanoid people such as ducks and boarmen. Get it? Because he's a boar man? Boar man? Shut up, I like liking things. But just looking at these people, it reminds me of a comment that I read on one of the videos. Somebody was like, hey yo, Looney Tunes got real dark real fast. Anyway, this man known as the Elder is supposedly the last human that is known to be alive. And he heads up this colony known as the Ark. Well, actually, I don't know if the colony is called the Ark or if just the place you're in is called the Ark. But it's referred to as the Ark. And basically all I know about the story is that it's a survival thing. You must leave the Ark, go retrieve supplies so that you can fix things or find food or whatever, just stuff to survive. Come back, report to the Elder, and yada yada yada. Now I'm hoping there's a little bit more to that, like you have to go out and discover what really happened to all these humans, or discover why this world is being overrun by mutants and ghouls. Ugh. Because I know from looking at like gameplay demos and whatnot, there is a lot of narrative in this game. They gave these animals the ability to talk, and they don't stop talking, my guy. So I know there's some sort of deep narrative in this game that they just haven't revealed yet. But you know, I'm like I said, intrigued right here. It's making my wheels turn. So you got to think, what else is going on in this world? But I suppose we'll find out when we play the game. So for now, it's time to meet the cast. Now, there are only about 4 revealed characters that were in the game so far. I read something about there being more characters introduced later. Haven't seen any real information on that. But sources say there should be 5 playable characters. But the 3 we have information on right now are Ducks, Boarman, Selma. And the Elder, but like, I don't know if he's playable. I don't think he's playable. And he's not playable. Alright, so first we got Ducks, who is a duck. Go figure. This guy's a duck with attitude, like a really sarcastic Daffy Duck. Boorman, who is a boar man. I mean, honestly, they could have gotten more creative with these names. There's got to be another boar pig person out there. What are they going to call him? Pig man? Bacon man? Pork man? I feel like these names are kind of racist to these species. Specious. They're species. It's like he's a smart guy. He's cool. He keeps everything together until he gets angry and loses his mind. He might have a few anger issues here or there, but don't need to worry. He's just a boar man. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. This is an ugly dude. I mean, look at that guy. He's freaking ugly. Tony, you're fired. You're fired. What did I tell you? And then there's Selma, who appears to be the most human-like of all these mutants, but she does have a slight discoloration in her skin, and from the looks of it, she might have a little bit of reptilian inside there. Don't know which kind of reptilian, but something in there. Now each of these characters in the game will have their own personality, abilities, skills, the whole enchilada right there. Enchiladas sound good actually, but they give me gas so I can't eat them. Anyway, they have separate skill trees and things they can learn to increase their battle capabilities. For example, Selma has a rifle and a handgun. The duck has a crossbow, which is a long-range silent weapon, so if you're going into any stealthy situations, you want to choose the duck over the boar man, who's kind of like a big tank sort of guy. But now that leads me right into the gameplay. There are basically two different modes in this game, which is the exploration and the combat, which feel entirely different, but make a seamless transition into one another. Now in exploration mode, you're looking from sort of like a top-down perspective, but a little bit to the right and a little bit back. It's kind of nice for a stylized game like this. Gives it sort of the arcadey indie feel. It's not really something I'm going to love forever, as you can't really like free camera it, but it's a nice view to be able to take in most of the environment here. And one thing I love about post-apocalyptic games is the environmental storytelling. So you'll be able to discover all that while exploring this world. And while you're exploring, this is the part where you find items and trinkets that you can use to upgrade your weapons and whatnot. This is where the majority of the narrative takes place. But it's not really much in terms of free roam, as it's mainly like a linear story, but I would compare it more to how the Uncharted games are, where it's linear, but you can still go off and explore the separate path if you wanted to, and maybe discover some things you wouldn't have discovered before. And I've got to say right now, while exploring, this game looks very stylized and beautiful. Actually, it looks like it's running really well. Really well. Still can't say that word. But now, combat. This is a turn-based action game, much like XCOM or Mario Rabbids Adventure Battle Royale, whatever that freaking game was called. Now in the combat mode, the game turns into sort of like a chessboard, where you have to move your characters in turn-based strategic gameplay to try and get the drop over your opponents. So you transition into this mode basically whenever you see enemies and you elect to engage, or they elect to engage you. And this is where the strategy and puzzle-like nature comes in, as you get 2 slots for 2 moves per go. Now you can use those moves to basically do anything. To reposition your character and get a drop on the enemy, to fire doing some damage, to throw an item, to heal another character, and basically whatever else is available in this game. Now there are certain moves that will end your turn if you do them first, like if you fire without moving, but you only get 1 turn. But anyways, once you get close enough, you can shoot at them. But there is an accuracy system in place where the closer you are, the more likely you will be to hit them, and the farther away you are, the more likely you will be to miss. So don't just be firing whenever you feel like it, because you're not Deadshot from Batman, so you're probably gonna miss if you're 30 yards away. And you gotta be careful with that, because enemies in this game aren't easy, as they do a lot of damage and can take out one of your players in just a couple shots. No! Duckman! No! So the key to combat in this game is to take advantage of the barriers and the stealth mode. Now barriers are pretty self-explanatory. Using your turn-based system, you can position one of your characters behind either a low barrier or a high barrier. Now a high barrier gives you about 75% defense bonus, while a low barrier gives you about 25%. Because obviously it doesn't cover as much as the high barrier would. So now you can fire from cover and you can throw things from cover. So in combat where enemies are alerted, cover is key. Just like in any shooting situation, you don't want to just be standing out in the open where they're just gonna blast your face in like a rotten tomato, because People shoot Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know why I say these weird things sometimes. So, but your first means of combat should always be the stealth system. Unless you're just like a balls to the wall, kick all ass Bruce Willis type. Which, you know, if you're smart, you're probably not. I'm not saying you're not smart if you don't do that. I'm just saying if you do that, you're more likely to die than I am. So in that seamless transition I was talking about between exploration and combat. So whilst exploring, if you encounter any enemies, they will have a big circle of sight around them whenever they appear on your screen. So if you're within the circle of sight, obviously they can see you unless you're behind something. And if they see you, they will engage you and they will try to, you know, is that a duck, man? We gonna kick his ass. You like that foot action right there? Take my foot real up. Okay. But if you're behind a barrier of some sort, like a tree or a small brick wall, you will be able to avoid their line of sight even if you are within their sight circle. And you can use that to get the drop on them and do a little extra damage whilst getting into battle. But on the other hand, they can also do the same to you if you are not careful enough, bunny boy. But yes, if you do happen to get the jump on them, there is a high possibility you will kill that enemy with one shot if it is a low enough level. And if you do, you will stay under the radar. And you can just move on to the next and start taking them out one by one. You can be like Elmer Fudd in this piece, like, be very, very quiet. I'm hunting mutants. You mentioned something about levels before? Oh yeah, there is a little bit of a level progression system, as some enemies will be a lower level and easier to deal with, and some enemies will be a super high level. And that means don't butts with me, because I will kill you, sir. Now these guys have a line of sight like everyone else, except that circle will be red. Which means if you step in there, you're likely to get riggedy wrecked, son. And dying is not fun in this game, because if one of your characters loses a bunch of health, they will go down and they will start bleeding out. And if you don't get another character to them with a med pack in enough turns, that character will die. And there is a perma-death feature in this game, which means that once a character dies, he will be gone for good. Forever. He's done. He's dead. He's dead. Done. Dead. Disappeared. Dissipated. Off the earth. No longer alive. How many other ways can I say dead? Dead. He's dead. So that means that will also have an impact on the narrative, as obviously if a character is dead, their part of the story is just gone. Whoa. And that's going to be something that's really going to be weighing on you with every single battle, to know that if any character dies at any time, they are dead forever. Now they are pretty lenient with the bleed out time, as it usually takes a while and you can upgrade the stats so it takes longer for individuals to die. Whew. And that sounds stressful, but I'm the type of gamer that feeds off of that energy, so that kind of excites me. But you gotta wonder what kind of real impact that will have on the said narrative, because I've known games that have done this before, but see what they did in the narrative, they just replaced that character with some random NPC that we don't even know who they are. So like instead of them saying the word, it would just be some random person saying the word. So I'm wondering is if you like have like someone like Boreman die, will their part of the story just be omitted from the game? Will the game just become like 2% shorter because a character died? Interesting indeed. But now to talk about character development, as there is a great deal of modding, upgrading, and mutating in this game. Like mentioned before, each individual character has their own separate skill tree that are called mutations, and you can mutate them, sorta, and this will upgrade their abilities. They even have a little cool animation for it that looks pretty painful. But yes, while you're out exploring, you can find scraps and resources to upgrade your guns and gadgets, and so you can level them up and then level yourself up. And then those hard enemies from before, they're not so hard now, because you big bad man. You was level 1 before, now I'm level 30. What you gonna do, son? You ain't gonna do nothing. You gonna sit there and cry like a baby boy in the corner, sucking your thumb. Tony, simulate sucking on your thumb. You know this is punishment for that thing you did before. Don't think I forgot. I don't forget. So you can upgrade different things on your weapons, such as damage, accuracy, range. You can also go around the world collecting different weapons with different damage, accuracy, and ranges. That'll really give you the upper hand in battle. But as far as the game, that's everything I got. I'm done. So that means it's hype rating time. Year Zero, aka Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden, gets a 6 out of 10 on the hype rating scale. Now this game looks like it could be a fun little pastime between all these big games that are coming out near the end of the year. It's nicely stylized, it looks honestly beautiful, it looks really intriguing of a narrative. Plus the way the gameplay and the mechanics look kind of reminds me of a mix of like Final Fantasy and XCOM and Fire Emblem all put together to make one beautiful looking game, don't you think? It looks like a good time and it looks like I can get really invested into this, but as long as it's like not too long, because like I said, there are so many games coming out at this point of the year. Like, I know Red Dead just dropped, Just Cause 4 is dropping on the same day, you got Smash Bros dropping like a week or two later. This is gonna have to be like an in-between game, if not like an after game, you know what I mean? I kind of feel like this game is putting itself in a bad position where it might be becoming an unknown just because of all the big games surrounding it. But another thing you could ask me, I feel like this game could do a lot better if it was releasing on the Switch. Now, the game is releasing for the PS4, Xbox One, and the PC, and not for the Switch. But doesn't this kind of look like a Switch game to you? Like, I feel like if this game were mobile, I would play it more. Like, if it was on the Switch, the DS, or the PlayStation Vita, if anybody still plays that thing, shout out in the comments if you still have a PlayStation Vita. But yeah, these turn-based, slower-paced games, I usually like to play on mobile when I'm out and about somewhere. But when I'm at home and I have other things to choose from, like Red Dead Redemption and Call of Duty and Just Cause 4, it's probably going to take a good long time to get to this game. And you're probably thinking, yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm already dropping $60 on all these other games. I'm not going to drop $60 on this game. Well, let me stop you right there. The game's only $35. This is probably one of those pay for what you get situations where they're lowering the price in order to increase the amount of people that are going to buy it around Christmas time, so you don't have to put in that full $60 for a gift for your little brother or something like that. You can just buy him this $35 game. That looks pretty great. It's not going to be a bad game at all. At least I don't feel that, because like I said, I can really get into these sorts of games, but I'm way more likely to get into it on my Switch. I play a lot more indie games on my Switch than I do anything else. But this definitely seems like a game that I really want to try to play at some point. Why? Because it's really intriguing. Because this is one of those rare cases where I myself haven't really seen a game like this. A game where humanoid mutants have taken over a post-apocalyptic world and it's dark and gritty and survival-esque. The only issue would just be finding the time to put the time in. Said time too many times. Did it again. But if we're being completely honest, I kind of do see this as a game that's coming out free on PlayStation Plus in like 6 to 8 months. But I do recommend picking up this game if you're going to be into a different style of play. Now, Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden comes out on December 4th, 2018 for the PS4, Xbox One, and the PC. There have been no talks about release for the Switch, but I hope they do that sometime in the future. So let me know something. Do you agree with my hype score? Do you not agree with my hype score? Let me know down in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, I want you to pop up, look at that like button, like it's your long lost daughter that you haven't seen in 7 years. Then I want you to do a slow motion run. Da, 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 da. Then I want you to give that like button a great big hug. Oh, I missed you so much, like button. That's why I'm gonna hug you and press you so many times. Remember to board the hype train by clicking that subscribe button and follow us as we discuss all things hype. Next week's game. Here we go! Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Haha. I would like to thank you so much for watching this episode of the Hype Train. But until next time, Hype Train, baby. Woo woo!